Hello and welcome to wrestling and welcome to this very late Money in the Bank review. Little bit of admin. I've been away at a festival, I've been busy sorting out my music stuff, and Adam's not very well. He can't actually speak too well at the minute, so he's not really going to be involved at the moment, but this is why we're a little bit late with stuff. But I know it's been a little while since the pay-per-view happened, a couple of weeks, but I thought I'll get my thoughts out there because I actually quite enjoyed the show. WWE, as I said in our All Elite Double or Nothing review, is struggling a little bit at the minute with its creative and Vince being a little bit of a control freak and some really naff storylines, but they still manage to have okay matches. I'm a little bit disillusioned with the weekly stuff at the minute, and we're struggling to get our weekly videos out, which is an update that I might have to do at some point. We might have to change the format of that. Our Raw replay and our SmackDown synopsis might have to go into sort of like one video for the time being. But let's talk about Money in the Bank. So the kickoff was Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Usos. Usos have left SmackDown and are on Raw. Daniel Bryan and Rowan are the SmackDown Tag Champions. And I didn't realise that this wasn't for the SmackDown Tag titles, and that's obviously why it was on the pre-show. And it seemed a bit weird that Daniel Bryan and the Usos were on the pre-show. But yeah, Usos won, so I don't really know where they were gonna, I think this was just a match, really, and that's why it was on the pre-show. The ladies kicked off the main show with their Money in the Bank ladder match, and oh boy, was it a good ladder match. I bloody loved it, thought it was excellent. They just knocked it out of the park. It was badass. It was really cool to see them doing some of the stuff that they were doing. Early on, Nikki Cross trapped two of the girls in the ring apron like she does and went crazy on them. Bayley took an accidental ladder hit to the hip, which started bleeding. That was pretty nasty. Dana managed to get up the ladder and she got to the case, but then she had the case and the ladder got moved and she was swinging around for ages like this. It was crazy. Bayley got trapped later on in between a ladder, and it was Mandy and Natty were just slamming the ladder closed on her like that. That was brutal. Naomi did a split leg moonsault onto a ladder. Ember hit an unbelievable eclipse from a ladder outside of the ring into the ring. I probably missed some of the bits. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. And the end was Sonya Deville came down to try and help Mandy win. She lifted her up on her back up the top of the ladder, but they're stopped by Bayley, who knocks them off and wins the ladder match. Really good stuff from the ladies. I really enjoyed it. Following this, we got Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. And it was basically the reverse of the Mania match, which I called in our predictions. And talking of the predictions, Adam won, so he still got the trophy. Gutted. But yeah, I predicted this one spot on. I said that it would be a quick match and Rey would sort of get... he said about being... embarrassed by his performance at WrestleMania, so I kind of had a feeling it was going to be the reverse, basically. But it looked like Samoa Joe busted his nose early on, and it was pretty bad. Rey got a big surprise pin on him and took the win, and Joe just takes his frustrations out on Rey post-match. Probably not what you want to see these two guys doing, really. I mean, trading squashes, but yeah, I don't know. Cage match followed. It was Shane versus The Miz. Didn't really like it. Wasn't really into it. Shane managed to get a steel chair in there early on. Not sure how that happened. Of course, you can exit via a door, which I wish they would take out of the steel cage match because it's just stupid. It really takes away from it for me. The door at the side. You should just have to go up and over. Yeah, as I say, I wasn't really feeling it. They were duking it out on top of the cage as Shane had kind of halfway got over. Miz stops him, and he's grabbed his t-shirt, and then Miz loses his grip, and Shane slips through and escapes. They're doing this thing where Shane just wins somehow, I guess. I was hoping that it would end, but I think it kind of looks like they might run this till SummerSlam. Of course, Shane's up against, I think, Roman Reigns at the Saudi show, so I don't know, but yeah, not into it now. I want this one to move on. Sami Zayn is found hanging upside down and is now out of the ladder match for the men's. Of course, everyone thinks that it was Braun Strowman that did this as revenge. But what happened later on, you could ultimately think it was someone else, but we'll get to that. 205 match got some boring chants, and I have to be fair on this. It was an okay match. 205 matches are always pretty good, but it wasn't on the same level as some of the previous efforts that we've seen on the pay-per-views. Tony Nese managed to retain. Apparently this had got bumped up from the pre-show. Yeah, the crowd did not like it. Lacey Evans made it rain. She had those rain-making, with the dollar bills things. That was cool. She certainly had a better showing in her match than she did at the Royal Rumble. I think nerves got to her at the Royal Rumble. She was wiping sweat off her brow on a rag and then she put it in Becky's mouth. That's not classy, is it? She's supposed to be classy. Disgusting. Anyway, Becky wins with the disarmer after Lacey having a 4 count, but the ref not counting. Yeah, that was weird. But I thought it was an enjoyable match, ultimately. This is where I lost my predictions because I said Lacey would win, but as soon as I heard that the Lacey match was first, I knew I was going to lose the points on this one. Charlotte heads out immediately following the match and says that their match is on. Of course, Becky was defending both belts. So Charlotte works the knee that Lacey had chopped earlier on in the match. Of course, that plays into like figure 4 and all that. But ultimately what happens is Lacey, she takes out Becky with the woman's right while the official isn't looking. Charlotte pins, but it's reversed with the nearest of near falls it was. Charlotte then hits the big boot and she wins. So Charlotte is your new SmackDown Live Women's Champion. Becky loses it with Lacey, but Charlotte helps her out and they both destroy her. Bayley then makes the save, and after taking out Charlotte, she cashes in her Money in the Bank contract and wins. And cue wild celebrations with the crowd. This was great. It was really nice to see because Bayley kind of lost a lot of her steam over the past year and a bit. And she's now got herself a title. I thought it was good. It was a really effective way of using the Money in the Bank stip. Nice to see it happen on the night. Good stuff all round. And as we knew, Becky wasn't going to hold on to both belts for too long. So it's the right thing for me. Maybe it would have been better for Lacey to win a title in between. Like Charlotte's obviously done it more. But then they kind of needed it to be the SmackDown one, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, Elias hits Roman with a guitar backstage and then he heads to the ring and plays an electric guitar. As Elias is leaving, Roman heads out, clocks him with a Superman punch, takes him to the ring. The bell sounds, a spear and a win. I don't want Elias to be getting squashed. Obviously Roman was going to win the match, but I'm not sure it had to be this way. AJ and Seth had an amazing match. It was just so good. So good. And of course you'd expect that of those two guys. Seth hit an inverted suplex and Falcon Arrow. Nice to see him changing things up a little bit. AJ hits the Styles Clash off Seth, attempting the stomp, which looked awesome. But Seth still managed to pick up the win via a stomp. Really good match, and probably the match of the night. AJ goes for a handshake after the match, and Seth takes a while, but then he offers his hand. And yeah, just really good stuff. Kofi says he couldn't have got where he was without the New Day. This is in a backstage segment. And he's not going to let Kevin Owens use the New Day to get to his title. And then we get Lucha House Party, and I was really confused because they're not scheduled to be on the show. And then Lars just comes out and kills them. So they're just continuing the last thing of just destroying Lucha House Party. In the ensuing brawl, he managed to cut himself open as well, somehow. So, yeah, there was blood. Kofi versus Kevin Owens. We get an early trust fall from Kofi. KO hits a senton on Kofi's back, which looked horrible. Kofi has a way of like selling moves that just make it look like it should hurt more than it probably does to him, or maybe it just, I don't know. But yeah, can you remember that backbreaker that he took off? Was that AJ? That looked nasty as well. KO hits Kofi into the ring post and the cameraman. The cameraman took a little tumble. It's quite funny. KO reverses a boom drop into a Boston Crab, which I didn't think looked very good. Some moves just don't lead to like reversals very well. A lot of guys do reversals off jumps off the rope, top rope, and they don't look very good, I don't think. They battle out at the ring edge when Kofi hits a double stomp to the ring edge. That was cool. Then goes for a trust fall, but Kevin Owens hits a super kick, which looked awesome. SOS reversed into a stunner, but then it's reversed again into an SOS, but it's not enough to win the match for Kofi. We see a Trouble in Paradise reversed into a crab, which looked better than the one previously. Kevin Owens shouts at the crowd and they go mental at him, which was good heel work. Kevin Owens goes for a stunner, but it's turned into a Trouble in Paradise, and then he rolls out of the ring, avoids the pin, which was clever work from Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens then hits a stunner, but Kofi lands near the ropes and manages to grab onto it, preventing his loss. Owens takes Kofi's shoes off for some reason. Don't know why that was. He throws them at the commentary desk. He goes for a swanton bomb, which, wow, Kevin Owens. But Kofi gets his knees up, and then he hits the Trouble in Paradise, and he wins the match. Good match. Enjoyed it. A few bits didn't quite work, but it was good overall. And then we lead to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, which was also awesome. I really enjoyed it. Kevin Owens just kept dropping guys onto the commentary table. Andrade does drop kicks the ladder, as Randy Orton's climbing it, which was cool. Corbin and McIntyre work together. Of course, they've had an allegiance before, and they take the high-flying guys out, but then Orton attempts an RKO on Corbin, but he's sent into a Claymore instead. Balor and Andrade battle it out on top of the ladder. Andrade sets another ladder up earlier in the ropes, creating like a bridge. He sends Finn through with a sunset flip. That was crazy. So there's a mystery man in this. By the way, I didn't even sort of say that other than telling you that that Sammy was taken out earlier on. And the crowd are chanting Yowie Wowie, which was really funny because they expected it to be Bray Wyatt. I think we all did, which led to some disappointment later on, but we'll get to that. Ali and Andrade go off ladder via Spanish Fly. That was unbelievable as well. Ali goes through the announce table via a choke slam from Corbin. He then turns on McIntyre and he choke slams Balor onto a ladder's edge, which was horrible. Ricochet goes for a suicide dive, but Corbin catches him into the deep six. And then he's hit with a Claymore following that. That was a really cool combination of moves. Drew sends Finn flying into a ladder with a suplex. These guys are going through some punishment in this match. It was absolutely unbelievable, some of the bumps they were taking. Drew sends Ricochet over the top rope into a ladder bridge on the outside, and he goes through it. Drew climbs, but Randy pulls him off the ladder for an RKO. That was great. Just so many things going on, which kind of spoiled it a bit with what happened, because Ali managed to get up the ladder and he has the contract in his hands. He's got it. And then Brock's music hits. Brock Lesnar's the mystery man. And Ali freezes. He could have got... He had it. He had it in his hands. What was he doing? He freezes. Lesnar runs down. He literally pushes Ali off, climbs up, and wins Money in the Bank. So those guys have gone through hell in the ring for Brock Lesnar, the part-time superstar, to just rock up and just literally do nothing. He pushed a superstar off the top of the ladder and won. Oh, but it kind of works in a way because Brock isn't always around. So Brock having the Money in the Bank contract kind of works. So in a way, I'm not that mad about it. I'm more mad that he just wasn't in the match. Things have happened since on Raw, which I've not really seen, but Brock's kind of got a new gimmick, and they've really gone with it about the Brock party. But then apparently he was going to cash in on Raw, but then he didn't because Heyman told him he's got a year to do it. And then apparently the management, kayfabe management, are angry that he didn't cash it in when he said he was going to. So I think he's going to get punished. I don't really understand. That's really bad if they're going to do that. It'll be the second year that well, maybe the third year that they've botched the men's cash in. The women's cash in was great. I think overall this pay-per-view was good. I think there was good matches. There's a few stinkers in there, a few weird decisions, but overall a good show. And I'm sorry it's taking so long to do the review, but thought we'd get it out there. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you thought in the comments below, and we will see you very, very soon.